Welcome to Real as Possible, where two sisters keep it real with hilarious stories from our childhood and honest conversations about faith, life, and everything in between.
Welcome to Real as Possible podcast. We have kind of a male gender takeover. I don't know. I don't think I should say that. It's normally ladies over here, but we transitioned.
We toxically took over.
We toxically took over. I don't know if Nicole's going to want any of this in her podcast, but here we are. So,
we'll just mansplain it to her later.
Just mansplain it. Oh, man, this is going to be fun.
Notice I'm not talking. For my wife watching, I'm not talking.
So we're doing this because it's Father's Day coming up in a couple of days, and we thought it'd be fun to do like a guy takeover for the ladies podcast because they're not fathers, they are mothers. And I guess there's literally no other reason besides that. So I'm going to be kind of
it's
just
our turn.
Yeah. I guess before I go on, we should introduce ourselves. So I'm Joe Reeves. I'm Nicole's husband.
I am David Dick. I am Sarah's husband.
He's our guest today, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. We didn't plan this out. We just,
not at all.
I literally called David today like, hey, you want to do this with us? Because I think it would be fun.
And here we are.
And
I am Matt Andrus. I'm Ashley's husband.
I love that you explain. Nobody knows who Sarah is.
No, that's right. That's right.
But you should know who Sarah is because she invented some stuff that's like probiotic, life-changing. She's
Sure
like a
is.
genius. PhD.
Yeah, she's way smarter than me. That's why I'm not saying anything.
She's way smarter than all of us, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think, I mean, it's like Jesus, some other people, Sarah.
Oh, I'm sure she
And
wouldn't
then
give
the rest
herself,
of us.
She wouldn't give herself that much credit, but yeah, she's definitely a bright one. That's
She is
for sure.
She is super smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she created a probiotic that actually can add years to your life. It looks like they did a cool experiment with these little scientific worms that they usually use for a lot of scientific experiments.
That's how one does.
Right,
with
worms, right? Of all things.
scientific worms.
So their name is called a C. elegans. That's their scientific name. And so these worms, they use them because they have very, very standard lifestyles. Like they do the same things. They live 28 days every single time, no matter what. It's the same thing, unless you mess with them. And so they tested out this probiotic on these worms, and they had to cut off the experiment at 33 days. The worms are still alive at 33 days. They've never seen that. And they had to cut the experiment off because they didn't design it to go any longer than that. So now they're going to do another experiment to see kind of how long they can get these worms to live. So what they focused on are things called blue zones. Blue zones are areas in the world where you have a lot of people who live over 100. Places like Okinawa, Japan. A lot of people that live over 100 somehow. They're trying to figure out why. Turns out they all have two of the same probiotics in their gut at a high prevalence. All of them do. And Sarah actually designed one that's my wife again, just so we know who that is. Designed one that is stable. They've in 25 years, they haven't done that with a probiotic, and she figured it out.
And doctors couldn't figure it out, and Sarah did.
They had 25 years, the whole world was working on it. The last 7 years, a specific area of University of Nebraska was working on it.
Hey,
Right?
Hey, let's go.
That's
You're
right.
watching YouTube. I got my Nebraska shirt on. Hey,
This
They goes,
probiotic.
they goes to Nebraska to open up the can of worms. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, it's a credit to Nebraska. I mean, they started working on this bug about 7 years ago.
Okay,
And
I'm
Nebraska
stuck
scientists
on the fact that these worms just are like introverted humans. Like they just do the same thing. They live in their mom's basement.
Yeah. That's kind of how they're looking at it. They're like, this is exactly what they're going to do every time.
What's their normal lifespan?
28 days.
28 days.
Yeah.
So these like month-long worms surpass their lifespan. They're like, we got something.
Yeah.
Call Ed from Nebraska. We got something.
Yep. Time to do it. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but that's fun.
Just a wife brag.
You should brag on your
well,
wife.
that's who
man.
Sarah is. That was the
Right.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's who Sarah is. Well, part of who she is.
Yeah. Now you
The
guys
job
know. We need to have Sarah on this podcast
Yeah.
as a guest because that's.
She can correct all the things I said
Yeah,
wrong just now.
we just said it.
Yeah.
He just
All
made
the
it up.
things I
There
just
were no
explained
worms.
wrong.
They were
Right.
rats.
Right. Yeah, the whole episode is like, okay, so she already said when this is posted that she's just gonna comment on it and just rip me apart. Everything
yeah.
that just tease
Okay.
me and just like
Love that.
just
That's a
tease me the
solid,
whole
healthy
time. And I was
marriage.
like I was like, that's
It
really
is,
funny.
really,
She's
actually.
gonna tease me. She's gonna like just sit down there and go, that's not how that happened. Let me
Yeah.
tell you the real story, you know, things like that. So.
Were you even listening?
Yeah, right.
I've been in conversations with the two of them, and I've seen that play out in real life. And he goes, "Wait, I thought that was accurate." And she goes, "Not at all." And he goes, "All right." I do it too.
You heard it from the smarter person.
Yeah,
So
it's
there
like-
you go.
I don't know. I feel like that's kind of what do you? As much as we can mansplain, we also man listen. That's not quippy or anything, but
What?
what?
Right. Huh?
All right. So I do have a couple of questions.
Okay.
All right. My first question is, how is just let's let everybody know is how are you guys doing? What's going on in your life? What's fun and exciting? And where are you guys at? We can start with our guest.
Oh, okie dokie. Aren't you a guest too, though?
Well,
This is normally like an all girls show.
Our wives are the hosts.
Oh, well, okay, got it. So I'm most of a guest. Got it.
Yeah, we've
Got
been on the podcast before.
Sure, got it. First timer.
Yes. Is this your first time on any podcast?
Yeah. Actually,
Nice.
it's my first time in front of an actual microphone.
Like a
I think.
legit microphone.
Yeah, I've had the ones strapped to me, but never like this is.
Okay, that's
I
interesting.
keep like
I
crossing
like
my
how he
eyes.
said, like how he said, like how he said, strapped to him like it's a jetpack or something.
You've never worn one of those, the full body size
No.
microphones? No.
Oh.
No.
What was
I'm
the
old.
question?
I'm old. Yeah. Where were we? Things going on. Actually, the coolest thing going on is with my wife being so smart and doing all this stuff, her company is taking this product public this week. Actually, we're going to Vancouver and she gets to lead a presentation there
Yeah.
explaining the product.
So like people can buy shares in it.
by product. Yeah. By shares. They're going to have their own brand. They're going to distribute to, they've got a couple other connections with some good companies that,
Hey, I know a guy
Maybe
that can help market that.
yeah. That's that's the cool thing.
I've been pitching myself to my best friend forever.
Been trying to find out the right thing. I don't want to let the guy down with some
Nah, you're fine.
shoddy idea that's not going to work. I want to give him a good one. So
Yeah,
this one should,
dude,
this
this
one's
is
working
awesome.
well so far.
This is awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
What about you, Matt? What's going on? What's fun? What's new?
Well, summer's almost here, so I get to hopefully spend a lot more time with my kids. I do live music a lot. It's gonna be a really
gosh, it's
busy
so
summer.
good.
And
Mm.
so I have to like be a little more intentional on my weekdays during the summer to spend with the kids. So I'm not, because a lot of the weekends and some of the nights get kind of eaten up, and the kids are, why is dad gone all the time? And I'm like, playing music. So it's a lot of fun. It takes up a lot of my.
But you've kind of you've put that into like almost a part-time job. Like
It is. Yeah.
You do a ton of.
Yeah.
Can you just tell our listeners like where could they go see you this summer play?
Well, I'm all
What are your best
around.
venues?
I'm a lot of places around Lake Kosh. So all around there.
Why'd you say it like a surfer?
Like
Co-
Kosh,
Kosh.
like bro.
Kosh, dude.
You want to get like rock on the Kosh, Dad? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's a great festival.
Yeah,
Rock
let's
on the Kosh.
Rock the Kosh. No, it's gonna be a metal show. It's gonna be mosh on the Kosh.
But the Rock River goes into Koshkonong.
Oh,
Rock on the
yeah.
Kosh.
Heck yeah. So a lot of that.
Band name I call it.
Yep. Play around Janesville, Whitewater. So kind of the whole Tri-County area, and
Sweet.
I'm always shamelessly trying to get new followers on all the social media
on the
stuff.
grams.
On the grams
And
and,
the
the
TikToks.
talks and the books and stuff, and so Matt Andrus Music, check it out and
Do it.
Yeah.
Seriously. So
Very
he's
cool.
a one-man band and he has like a loop station. It is so fun to watch Matt play. Have you seen Matt play?
I've
live?
seen him a couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so good. And it is. It's like a full-time. It could be a full-time job. Like
Could be.
you make more than some touring musicians. I guarantee it.
Well, if I lose my job, I'll just gig every night and
Gig every
be gone.
Yeah.
have no nightlife. But so
Yeah.
heck yeah, that's what's going on.
Sweet.
Wow.
Well, for me, I'm still plugging away with my video production career. I signed a new client. I'm super excited about that. I'm thinking about starting my own podcast so I can mooch off of my wife's tens of followers. And so I have been messing around with like trying to figure out AI. So this is like a new thing. And I've kind of like just seeing if I can add it to like the collection of video work that I do. And I stumbled on a couple things. I'm not even going to talk about what it is yet because I feel like I'm not smart enough to like divulge secrets, and then people will be like, I tried that, you're an idiot, But I'm just trying it and seeing what happens. And I have to tell you guys, AI is scary, but it's exciting. Like the things you can do are just phenomenal and stupid, and I'm nervous about it and intrigued by it. And so we'll see what happens. I'm doing okay. I recorded the funniest video I've ever recorded for anybody. Like on Friday, I recorded a video of a guy who cleans and sanitizes trash bins. Shout out Alex. Your sister actually won that basket, Erica, and she has a free cleaning from this guy if she uses the coupon.
Pucker up.
No thanks. But he did this video for his Facebook, and he literally eats food out of a garbage can that he cleaned.
Wow.
It looked very brave.
It was.
I saw his commercial. It looked very brave.
Well,
it was. I was trying.
He believed in what he definitely believes in.
Hey
what
man,
he does.
that's like.
That was proof right there.
That was proof.
I know
like,
someone with a great probiotic that could help him out.
When it all goes sideways.
Oh man. But I was holding the camera, and I almost peed my pants because I was laughing so hard. It was hilarious.
It was very good. It was a good commercial.
Shout out,
Mhm.
Alex.
Yeah.
Lakeshore trash bin cleaning. Got to do it. It's fun.
Yeah.
So you said something that kind of like leads me into a question that I want to talk about. And part of the reason why I wanted David on the show is because we're three dads, three different kinds of careers, three different kinds of trajectories going on. But it's all like being a dad, like having a strong relationship with our kids is super important. And so I was just like curious, like, what is it that you do to stay intentional with your kids, even though life gets busy and it's really difficult? And then I want to pair that like a slash. And our wives are here. They're going to be watching this and listening. So that, there's like extra accountability, but this is like, I want us to be real. Like, what is it like when you know that you're trying to balance like, oh, I've got to make money. I have to do this career. And I have to like intentionally and like have to, I want to spend time with my kids. But it's like, if you don't make it a priority, it's a tough thing to navigate. So what's kind of been your navigation process like for that?
So the first question about like, how do you be intentional with, so, both of my kids, I relate with them differently. My oldest, he's 14, Liam. We relate when it comes to movies and when it comes to video games or going to go try to catch turtles and frogs and stuff like that. And we put our waders on and we just go tromping through the creeks and, you find a clam and it's like, yes.
I've seen that happen too.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Snapping turtles are kind of our jam. And we just talk and just being able just to talk, man to man. That's a big thing. But with my daughter, I really connect with her with my childhood type stuff. So like she's a lot like me where she's perfectly fine just playing alone or spending a couple hours just playing with Legos. Or like she's a little bit more passionate about music. And so like I just find different ways you see how your kids connect with you. And my biggest thing with being a parent is that I have to put myself into my 14-year-old son's shoes and remember what I was like when I was 14, to be able to relate to him. And to me, it's kind of fun to be able to like relive my 14-year-old years again. And it's like, now that like he's like old enough, it's like, now I can like, yes, we can watch these movies and these movies and these movies and blood and guts and, you know, and it's like, and then with my daughter, I got to remember what it was like when I was 10. And
a little girl.
Yeah, I was just gonna,
yep.
Nope.
And then the second part of the question, I forgot it. So
Or just like when life is busy and you're like, how do you navigate the tension of like, have to work, have to make money, have to have these jobs, have to spend time with my kids, have to be a good husband. Like, there's just a lot of things to juggle. What is that like for you?
I have to.
Ashley's
I don't-
crossing her arms. She
Yeah.
she wants to hear this answer just as much as.
I don't realize it's becoming a problem until it's become a problem.
Mhm.
And then it's
How do you know when it becomes a problem?
when you blow up.
When you tell me it's
Yeah.
a problem,
When my
When
wife tells me.
So there isn't as much of there isn't
hey,
as,
this is real, man. Real.
there isn't as
Very
much of
real.
a conversation as it's progressively happening because I might be alone in this, but like if I'm given a little bit, I'm gonna go too far.
Mm.
And I'm gonna be like, oh, like you
Or the
know.
boundaries really
Yeah.
that clear? I mean, how far can we take this?
yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a big one coming.
Oh yeah.
I hope
There's
that
a-
picks it up, but there was a big boom right when right when we started bringing that up. But
That's God just being like, be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful.
warning, warning, warning,
We don't even say that we're in this severe, so
Yeah.
Cool. This might get exciting.
Sweet.
Mm.
So if the lights go dark, we'll see you in the future. Okay, so if I'm like it's like, okay, as long as I have one weekend open a month, I'm fine for gigs. But then I'm like, okay, that means I can play on a Thursday, I can play on a Tuesday, I can play on a Monday, and then all of a sudden I'm overbooked. And there's no progression of slowly getting angry. It's more of all of a sudden we're there, everyone's upset, and I'm like, okay, I didn't see it slowly getting there.
Mhm.
So that's something that we deal with is trying to navigate as a family. We don't really realize it's happening while it's happening. It's usually once it gets too far, then
you have to like
Then we have to
backtrack and,
adjust.
like, yeah, I think that's normal because, you know, like for me, I think that I'm doing really good. Like, especially when I first got married, and I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but like when we first got married, I would like do the dishes one time, and my wife would be like, "Oh, you did the dishes," and I'm like, "I'm good for like." And like it wouldn't be conscientiously, but I don't have to do the dishes again for like months.
You bought some time.
Like
Yeah.
I got some brownie points. I'm doing good,
Yep.
and you know, like just learning that. I think it's like a natural. Also, like admittedly, for me, I am super lazy, and I'm super driven, like simultaneously. So I like really hone in on what I'm doing, and I love my children so much. And I actually love spending time with them. I take my kids on daddy-daughter dates. So I have 3 daughters. I do a daddy-daughter date. Ooh, that's good.
Mhm.
I don't know.
This will be great in the
is-
sound
yeah.
effects. Mhm.
What were we thinking? We're gonna get struck by lightning.
It'll be fine, I think.
So I take all my girls on daddy-daughter dates, and I don't have a son. And people ask me all the time if I'm going to try for a son. And I'm like, well, I did 3 times and the Lord said no. So we're good. I'm a girl dad.
I did do that. I
Right.
tried
Yeah.
really hard.
What else do you want me to do? Like, and so I do try really hard to like be intentional with them and you know, but I'm like a sole provider too. And so and we designed it that way. Like, my wife has worked and she's had jobs. And I think for us, maybe I'm speaking for her, but she's here. She'll be able to pipe up if I'm wrong. Unlike Sarah, who's just going to blast you on the internet.
Wrong.
I like for the lifestyle that we want, I'd prefer it that way so that I can have more time. Like when Nicole and I used to be super poor, and we'd have like I'd work in the morning and then she'd work at night so somebody could always be with the kids, and I never saw my wife, and I hated that so much. I hated that so much. So I'm like happy to be a sole provider, and when I'm done with work, my wife is like she's there and my kids are just there and it's great. But because of that, I'm in a point in my career where it's hard for me to turn down work, because I don't like I think God has blessed us and I'm living in abundance and all of those things. But when you own your own business, you're always kind of like the well's going to run dry at some point, right? So like I don't feel like I've got enough reserve or I've got enough safety net to say no to absolutely everything. And I am more selective, and we've gotten past a couple of those humps where it's been a little bit easier as of late to make sure that I'm carving out specific extra time with the kids and stuff like that. But it's been a constant battle for us, and it's something that what my wife will do is she'll just have to remind me, like she says, like if you don't come up for air, you'll stay underwater type of thing. Like my analogy, not hers, but yeah. And then we have David, who's in a completely different season of life and experience because his wife's a genius.
I'm riding those coattails. Yeah, I've had the opportunity in the past to have owned other businesses or had other jobs that required a lot of my time. Thankfully, they were before kids. So I could choose that. And my wife and I were, like you said, two ships passing in the night, right? We just don't see each other because we work different hours, different shifts or whatever. I worked in retail, so it was whenever you needed to work, you were there. And while I was doing that, I decided that I didn't want life like that. My dad is a physician, and is an ER doc, which means you live at the hospital. Anytime they need you, you're there. So my dad wasn't around a lot, but he loved us, and his means of loving us were to provide a life for us, which was great for my siblings, by the way. Did you know doctors don't start making money for like 20 years. So right after I graduate high school and move out, that's when they started making money. So my siblings got
I think
to see
it's a
this great
universal thing. Like the firstborn just gets,
missed out on
they're just
all
poor.
the stuff. Yes.
Like my little sister, my little sister has a nicer car than I do. She's 18.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. And so because of that, I was like, I wanted to be able to provide for my family. And I was brought up in a Christian home, very much with that ideology of the man provides. And and my dad very much showed that. Like he'd spend a week at the hospital sometimes where we wouldn't see him to provide for us and to pay back huge amounts of student loans. So I knew I wanted to provide for my family. I knew I wanted us to have, I didn't want us to be financially suffering because growing up, we were a lot of the times because the student loans were like a second mortgage. And when you don't make a lot early on as a physician, or you go through like residencies and different surgical rotations, you don't get paid a lot, relative to what you do when you're much more experienced. And so we didn't have a lot of stuff. We lived in hospital housing when I was growing up. We lived in a very, very scary neighborhood when I was growing up. And so I got to see how what he was trying to do was dig us out, but I also never had him there. And I had very much of a super mom. Like my mom is like a super mom, one of those women who'll just run around like crazy, taking care of everybody. And
she's awesome.
She is. She's wonderful. And so I had a mom who tried to like make up for that difference. But again, it's not the same thing. So when I got older and we were going to start having kids, I was like, I don't want to live a life like that. I want to provide for my family and do well for them, but I need to be around them. And so for the longest time, I was an entrepreneur until about 5 or 6 years ago, where we had a huge life change situation. And my wife had an opportunity to flex her brain really hard and had a great job situation. So we took it. We took the chance on it, and it's worked out really well. As we talked about earlier on, it worked out really well. But that's allowed me, because of the necessity for her to be available at different times, because her business is international. There's lots of people from all over the world that want to talk like 3 a.m, weird things. So we decided, rather than paying for a daycare, rather than me starting another business and taking that risk, that I would be more of a stay-at-home dad. and take care of the kids and be flexible for the kids' schedules and be able to be around them more. Which helps out a lot, obviously, during vacations and like summer vacations and stuff like that. I'm a personal trainer, and I work with people with disabilities and like just different kinds of recovery goals. And I'm still able to do that because I have that facility. I have that gym set up in my house,
Right.
but it's extremely part-time just so I can be flexible to accommodate my wife's schedule so that we can focus on what is really making a difference for us right now. So it's a different position. It's different than what
So
I'm used to.
you got a sugar mama.
Kind of, yeah. Like I said, I'm riding those coattails. She's doing great.
I need to get me one of those. David, how do I make my wife my sugar mama?
I hear feet pics
Ooh.
are all the rage right now. So
Dude,
there's probably a niche for that going.
There's a
Right.
farmersonly.com.
The ones that have the fake toes.
Oh man, I'm
Oh,
uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's real though.
Pedicure.
Okay.
Your wife has an abundance of gifts.
Yeah.
She's doing the podcast, but if anyone has ever heard her perform, I'm telling you, man, that's your retirement plan. Like you're really brilliant with what you do, but your retirement plan is that young lady over there. She is gonna knock out some album. Somebody's gonna hear her voice somewhere.
That ship has passed a couple times and she wouldn't do it.
It's timing.
I tried.
Timing is important.
Some people
Timing
just
is-
want to fish from the dock. They don't want to go out to the deep water and get the big fish.
Oh,
That's
now we're
fair.
just throwing shade
That's
at my
fair.
wife. I did not mean for that. I'm not even on the dock.
Mm-hmm.
I'm over there.
Still sitting in the sun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't need a sugar mama.
I
like my wife.
girlfriend.
I like my wife.
I think you and I were talking about it earlier today, but I think, well, like you said, it's a cultural idea of
Yeah.
it's the man who
Which is-
provides everything. Like
This is where I was going to go to next, because I think that there's like this dichotomy in the Christian world, especially where there's like, you have some people who are like, men are being domesticated and like masculinity is, means this. And you're like, what's the wild at heart? And you have to be a hunter or fisher. You have to be the provider. You have to go and, work on tools and stuff. And then there's the other half that's like, oh, that's toxic. And, there's, so that you have a whole group of men like getting away from that. And I think there's somewhere in the middle of this healthy balance that, like, I guess I feel like I'm a perfect example of that. Like I love football. I love hunting. I love fishing. Well, I suck at hunting. Normally I'm just an idiot in the woods with a way too powerful of a gun. But I would love to shoot a deer, and, I love grilling meat, and I love all of those, football and all those things. But I also enjoy a rom-com with my wife every now and then. And I like hot tubs. Really, I love musicals. I love theater. I love, all of those things too. So I'm like this weird in between of like, I don't like this. There has to be this like overtly testosterone driven manhood, but I don't want to be pushed into this category that everything about that is toxic either. And what we were talking about earlier, I mean, slightly variant on this topic, but we were taught in America that, men provide and it's the man's job and you work yourself to the bone so that your family can survive. And I just don't know. I don't necessarily see that biblically.
I can't imagine culturally how it would have been possible.
Right. Especially in the Bible times.
Especially in biblical times, right? Money was scarce for everyone. Food was scarce. Everything was scarce for everyone. So you needed both people to provide.
Mhm.
You needed both people to be helping out. And I have to assume they use logic and played to their strengths, right? Like if you're good at this, go do this. If I'm good at this, I'll go do this, to provide ultimately for the family unit. It wasn't, I guess in our culture, it has been set up where men have the in the past, not as much anymore, but in the past have been set up to have greater success, because everything, like, it was hard to go to college as a woman, you know, like they didn't like that at a period of time. So
Yeah,
men
it's,
had the
it's starting
advantage,
to equalize for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, it definitely is, which is great. It's great. The more recent studies
keep
show
it going.
the more recent studies show that there's only about a cent difference between the sexes now, which is fantastic. That's the direction we wanted to go. But that makes sense, right? Like everyone earn you do what you need to do to provide for your family unit, work together as a unit. The idea of who cleaned plates, who washed dishes, whoever needed to wash the dishes.
Right. So like
like I would think, right?
My thing in that is like, I don't think of you as any less of a man or a biblical man because your wife makes the money in the house. Like that's not a thing that even crosses my mind. Have you ever your family's awesome. Has that been a concern with them, or they've been supported? What are you willing to talk about on the podcast?
To be honest, it was a concern for me at one point because I had that idea of like, I'm the man. And for some reason, being the leader of the family was completely associated with how much money you made. I mean, there were conversations that my wife and I had early on in our marriage where I was making significantly more money than her. And I would use that. Like, I've learned a lot from that. That is not something I recommend viewers. That's not something I recommend doing. But I would say, like, listen, I've been working all day, like at 3 different jobs or something like that. You can at least do the dishes. I'm paying all the bills. You know, throwing those lines out. Again, do not advise. Do not advise this.
That poked my butt a little bit.
Yeah, right. Oh, like now thinking about it. Yeah, right.
Just told you to pucker.
Everybody sit up straight.
I guess so.
Right. Yeah.
That's bold.
And so it was that much. And I grew up like so much with the Midwest. Like, I don't know if it's Midwest, but that like masculine mentality, like the dad is the boss.
So like that's where it is toxic, right?
Yeah,
like we can
and
acknowledge.
Right. When you get dad's the boss, the final say. And I think the toxicity there, at least I know I can speak from my family standpoint. My dad is a physician. He's very stern. He's very calculated because he has to be. My mom has the biggest heart in the world. So it was easy for my mom to say, go talk to your dad.
Yeah. Your mom's heart is bigger than her body.
She's amazing. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know how it's possible.
Yeah,
but
I know.
It's
crazy.
Literally, physically.
Yeah. So she would defer that responsibility to my dad. And I think that led to a toxic kind of situation because it took all the authority away from mom, put all the onus on dad. Dad becomes the bad guy when really he was like, I just got to settle this problem now. You know, I just got to handle this.
Your dad's a great guy.
Yeah, he is. Right. But
it's not a shade. Just wanted to be clear. It's not a shade. It's just, that's like how societally.
Yes. It was okay. Well, now I have to be the bad guy. I have, because that's just where I was put. Okay, I'll take care of it, you know? And so I had that mentality. And so when, thankfully my wife is very patient and kind in educating me on what a good marriage looks like.
Yeah. I mean, you're still here.
I'm still here. I survived. I'm still married. It's great. When the opportunity came up for her to start earning significantly more with this new opportunity, and I was in a place where I had just left a significant earning opportunity, it was like, this feels uncomfortable. That is she the man now? Is she the boss? Should I do the dishes? I'll wear the apron when you get home, you know, like all that, you know, weird 1950s ideology. And the reality is, like, for her, she loves what she does. She's very good at it. And the idea of staying at home and being like the more traditional role of the stay-at-home wife would never have suited her very well.
Right.
She just wouldn't, like, it would have been hard on her, hard on the kids, she just wouldn't have enjoyed that. That's okay. Like, not everybody is like, can do that and spend all their time at home with their kids. Surprised me. I don't mind it. I like being around my kids. I get to find out all those. My kids are younger than yours. So I haven't got to those like more manly conversations yet. My son's only 7. So I can't wait. So many good movies. But learning how my daughter is so significantly different than me and how I have to approach her like a little girl, like, and show a bigger heart and just be soft and like soften my voice and like, and do the things that she wants to do that I have zero interest in doing personally. Like,
right. Because you're not a little girl.
Yeah. I'm not a 9-year-old little girl.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that makes sense.
Right.
My kids, I have 3 daughters. My kids literally always want to paint my nails or dress me up like the queen. Always.
Sure.
Not as much anymore, but
Now you miss it.
I
You're just in your bedroom by yourself. I miss them.
I wouldn't say I necessarily miss that in particular, but I guess, and I've put on a few dresses and had my nails some funky
Very
colors.
open conversation.
Listen,
That's without the girls around.
listen, when you have daughters, man, I got really proficient at braiding hair.
Mhm.
My wife still asks me to braid her hair sometimes. So it's just like life with daughters.
Kind of cute.
It is.
pretty
It's
cute.
adorable.
That's
It's
pretty,
adorable.
That's actually very cute.
We're adorable.
That's very cute.
Yeah, got to learn it.
That's cute.
You know what I mean?
I have to learn how to do that.
You're gonna have to.
Start with your beard.
Yeah.
Start with the
That's
beard.
the next step, right?
Behold the
Yeah.
braided beard of old.
Okay, so was there anything you wanted to finish up on? Did I cut you off? Or
I don't know.
I'm learning how to be a podcast host. Nicole makes it look easy. I'm kind of struggling.
I think you're doing great.
Okay.
I think you're doing a
Thank
good
you.
job.
Fishing for compliments.
If anyone gets frustrated,
By what?
but because there's so many different opinions.
Oh,
what, you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what did you just blah blah? And it's like, listen, we're all just trying to survive here.
Yeah.
And none of
I'm
it's meant
trying
to
to
be
figure it out.
offensive.
Yeah.
It's
I'm trying
all-
Listen,
Yeah. It's all mindsets of growth and
I honestly, like, some days I just feel like I'm winging it. You know what I mean? Like,
So what I always say, or I've been starting to say, I've never raised a 14-year-old boy before. I've never done it. I have no idea what I'm doing. So if I'm gonna like beat myself up like I'm failing, it's like I've never done this before, and I'm learning. I've never raised a 10-year-old girl before, and
I
so yeah. So like I'm
now I have less excuse than you.
yeah, and you've never raised teenage girls before. You've never done it.
Mhm.
So we're all learning together, and you need to lean on being able to be humble enough to ask people for advice that have done it before, that you like, how did you raise your kids to be the way they are?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's good. I have a lot of people that I can lean on, and kids that turned out all right,
community
Yeah.
makes all the
Yeah,
difference.
100%.
Man. All the
100%.
difference.
So
Whatever that is. Birth or blood relatives or
Yeah.
otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
Community makes all the difference.
100%. So all right, let's ask a lighter, more fun question just to get that.
get the ginger to cleanse the palate a little
Yeah. Oh gosh, I had no idea where you were going for a second. I was like, what?
bit.
Yeah. I'm with you now. What's one of your favorite memories with your kids to date?
You can take a minute because Joe can always just.
No, I'm not editing anything. This is raw and real.
It's all real. No
I can
cuts.
start. So
Yeah, good.
So one of my favorite things of all time, we were in the car and I think we were just driving home. We were on Main Street here in Jefferson, and the kids, Scarlett used to be like super into magic tricks. You know, like those like quarters that you like hide in a thing, or a little stick that pops out like flowers or whatever. And so her and Bailey were like practicing or like rehearsing and scripting this magic show, and Bailey kept making Scarlett mad. And she just goes, "Bailey, you stop it right now. I'm going to crush your dreams and kick you out of the magic show." And I laughed so hard. Oh, man. And I used to pass out when I would laugh, because I would laugh so hard when I was heavier. And I almost passed out.
It was on everybody's bucket list to see you pass out.
Joe almost.
Everybody.
I almost passed
Like,
out yesterday.
The goal was to try to get him to laugh really hard, and I've gotten close. His eyes would roll back.
Was it?
His eyes rolled straight
So-
backwards.
I don't know what it was. When people's phones would come out when I'm laughing, it would like instantly like I'm done laughing. Like my
I'm
biggest
not gonna be this guy.
well, my biggest fear, I don't know why, but my biggest fear is like getting put on the internet and being a meme. Like
Well,
We're all
nothing
this
happened.
close away from being a meme
Like-
every day.
like fat Indian guy passes out and people like
We're laughing.
Nicole's like right now, some poor guy just trying to be this musician touring the country. People are making fun of him. And he
We'll
like
be married in a year in the summer.
like this poor guy just trying to be an entertainer and the world just started making fun of him. Do you imagine a 400-pound Indian guy passing out when he laughs? The world would, I would live in shame.
I would use that meme. I would
Right.
use that.
He's
Yeah.
doing great. He's taking it. Like
He's thriving.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that was my one of my favorite memories.
I like that. That's a good one.
It's fun.
I've noticed that little girls and little boys are very different in their sense of humor. At least my two are.
100%.
And so like my daughter's sense of humor is more theatrical and performative and like, you know, she does these goofy things to try to get us to laugh, you know. My son likes to play pranks. So one of my favorite stories, last summer we had the chance to go to Denver and we went to the Denver Zoo, and at the zoo they have this motion sensor squirt gun that's supposed to be like an elephant trunk squirting water. So I mean, it's a lot of water. So I of course see this and I'm like, this is fantastic. My kids are walking behind me. This is going down for sure. And so I walk past it just as the kids come by, and this, I mean, fire hose of water like knocks my son off of his feet and like, I mean, just drenches him. And he is like, his first thought was not, my little girl would have come up and been like, Daddy, why would you do that? And like try to give me a hug. His thought was, come here. It's your turn. I'm going to get you now. And I wouldn't let him like put me in this position to do this. So it's like 3 or 4 days later, we're at not at the zoo anymore. Thank God. We're at the hotel and we're in the pool swimming and we're like splashing and all this stuff. And this is 3 or 4 days later. He pulls me in close as we're splashing to like do this thing. And he takes my head and he dunks me underwater. And he goes, that's for at the zoo.
Whoa.
And I like,
That's awesome.
I was crying laughing because I'm like, you've been planning this for days. Like, my daughter would give me a hug. My son is a maniacal genius. And so I'm like,
Don't cross him,
no,
everybody.
I've learned. I'm like, I can't mess with him because I won't see it coming anymore. Like, it's day. He waited just till the perfect opportunity. And he said, that's for the zoo. That was a very funny moment, kid. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to you
Wow.
growing up and learning how to do way worse things to me. Thank you. Yeah, it was a good one.
That's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, I have nightmares.
For sure. I like to think I've never grown up. So
You haven't. It's confirmed. I've walked into I cannot tell you the amount of times I've walked into Matt's house and seen him either playing with Legos or playing like some crazy like kids video game.
Yeah.
Or like watching Hook.
Yeah.
Like,
Nice.
Favorite movie.
anyway.
So with that, it's true. When my kids were younger, mainly Liam more, when I would play with him, like I was able to like put my mind into a place of a child. So like he was really into Batman for a while. So we would like, you know, the Joker was everywhere. And we'd put on his Batman mask and we'd be like diving behind boxes and stuff. And I'd be jumping on the ground and like going nuts because like I get to be a kid. And
it's not even creepy.
yeah,
I just
They
like
expect that. Yeah.
I
Right.
get like I kind of said it before, but like when he was 8, I was 8. When he was 10, I was 10. And so favorite memories is just like being able to relive my childhood again through my children and the sweet moments of reading to them at nighttime. That was like a big part of our house. and that's not really something we do anymore. And that's something I'll really always cherish because like I love getting into character. I love doing voices. I would love to do voices for cartoons. And like when I read books, I get to do all that stuff. I have this puppet monkey that's like 40 years old and it's nasty with a capital G because it's so old and disgusting. But when I pop, like still to this day, like when I get home with my 14-year-old son, if he's in the other room and if I put I secretly put that monkey puppet on my arm, I'll get in bed and I'll do the voice. My son will drop what he's doing and come into the room to come hang out with Gurgle the monkey, you know. And like those are the things that like won't be there forever. And those little things
that's cool.
Yeah.
You're a good dad.
That's really cool.
It's all for show.
I hate it when you say that. Every time I compliment him, that's what he says.
Yeah, that's all for show. That's the easy way out. So,
Thank
you. I appreciate it.
There you go. Which kid is most like you?
My son, for sure. We have the boy thing in common. But I'm very recently lost my grandmother. It was like only like a month ago. She passed away. She was 94. So my son is 7. He got to spend 7 years with his great grandma, which that's a lot of time, I think. And when my mom likes to kidnap my kids and spend a lot of quality time with them to really get to know them and really spend like really be in their lives. And whenever they'd all three be together, they would talk about how similar, like just the sneaky little stuff. Evidently, I liked to play pranks too, and
that tracks.
And hold vendettas for days at a time.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. So he just has a similar personality to me. He's just, according to the people who knew me when I was that age. So I don't, remember so well that, that far back, but my daughter is a lot like my mom. Interesting. A lot like my mom, a lot, just huge heart 10 times bigger than her brain. You know what I mean? And I say that as a compliment. Like she will walk into a fire. She's got a
pretty big brain.
Yeah. She'll walk into a fire to save someone, knowing full well it's going to burn her. She'll do it anyway. That's cool. I learned from her in that aspect.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Which kid's most like you?
Me? Mine's easy. My Bailey, my middle daughter, she is like exactly like me in so many ways. Like it's frustrating. Like, because I shouldn't even get mad because I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And my wife's like, you just did that yesterday. And I'm like, dang it. Like, she is so much like me. And, okay, like, for example, she will take off her shoes in the kitchen, her socks in the living room. You know what I mean? Like, she'll just snake her way, like, I don't know. And like, that was something when Nicole and I first got married. I'd get home and there would be like a trail of like shoes, socks, pants. Yeah.
It's so cute the things they pick up on and they start copying somehow.
But like I for the most part picked up that habit before we had kids because it drove my wife crazy.
Well, this is just kind of a squirrel side bunny, whatever they want to call it.
Is this something we got edit?
No. So when we were teenagers, me and then Ashley and Nikki, who are usually the hosts of the podcast, I would go to their apartment or their house.
Because they had pizza.
Yes. But you go in the bathroom and in front of the toilet was a pair of pants with shoes still tucked into the legs. Right at the base of the toilet. And it was your wife. Every single time I'd go in that bathroom, there would be she would drop trow with her shoes and just leave them there, right at the base of the toilet every time. I'm like,
what? And you got in trouble for what you did?
What? I've really grown. Like
I've really grown as a person. I have been married to you for almost 17 years, and I've never known that.
And was that not all the time?
You for your clothes?
Wasn't that not all the time?
Right now, you know.
I would get in big trouble.
Right. And now you have, you can be like,
Literally, the conversation literally was, there's a hamper 20 feet away.
No.
She was 15.
Like, seriously?
She was Scarlett's age.
You put your clothes right next to the hamper. I'm like, all you have to do is lift your leg and shake. And it
Apparently, all you did was lift your legs and shake.
and walk out. You just left.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was like, where was I gonna go without pants on? Which
I don't
can
know.
walk around
Listen. Listen.
Well, because we used to always say that she get raptured, That's what we. Why are there shoes inside of the pant legs? Just both pairs.
Just- oh no, we've been left behind. Could you imagine?
Maybe I did that on purpose.
Listen,
because
if the rapture's real, if the rapture's real, do you think that people get raptured in the same position they were like sitting in?
They go,
I hope
they
so.
beam into heaven, and they're like,
Just because that's like the image I have. Nicole's like shows up and she's like, why?
Still posed on the toilet. Like, what were you doing? Nothing.
And then my second question is there shame in heaven like at that point, or is that before the tears have been wiped away? Is she embarrassed?
I think even then you'd
Yeah,
be
you're
like,
oh no.
oops.
Oh man.
sorry, that was the squirrel. So
Ugh,
Squirrel.
it's a good squirrel.
What time are we at? We need to rep 56. Oh yeah.
What happened to your 2020? Well, no, I can see. I just don't
Well,
know
we-
where to see. It says
I don't know either.
19.
It says 19 hours, 50 minutes, and 20
That's not what it says. Okay.
It does.
This
It's
is
been
what,
a long
this is what
conversation.
this is what
It's been a long
this is what
conversation.
this is why I'm behind the camera.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
sweating.
Well, I'll just finish the question. My daughter is the most like me in the way that like she tinkers and she focuses in on things that she's passionate about. And I was that way. Like I would get done with school and I would go play with Legos for 3 hours and I would just tinker, or I would spend.
walk home in the winter with Phil and
No, I was homeschooled, but
I had to walk home by
Yeah.
going through the living room.
for sure. So yeah, she's the most like me, and I think that she's a lot like me in the way that like for me growing up, my mom could do no wrong. My dad was always the bad guy, and now with her, it's like even if I'm in the wrong, she still thinks that I'm in the right, and mom is the bad guy, and I'm like,
Ride that wave as long as you can. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
and I have to constantly correct her. Like, no, I have to tell her, no, I was in the wrong. Like, this just doesn't like develop that always thinking I can't.
Oh. I don't know what it is. Even if I had nothing to do with the situation, I'm like, we had a cat who jumped off something and broke his leg one time. And everybody in my family was like, what'd you do to the cat? And I was like, I don't even think I was here when that happened.
I have a question. What could we do as wives better to help support you in your fatherhood?
What could you do as wives to support us better in our fatherhood? Just in case they didn't hear.
What could you do as wives to support us better in fatherhood? I'm
I'm just
trying to wrap
processing
my
the
head.
conversation. This question.
How can we support you?
I don't feel like yeah.
Honestly, that's a tough thing because these are conversations that we've had, right? So to get into just full candor, it's like as I've learned about myself when I'm working, I've learned that it's really difficult for me to stop midstream, if that makes sense. Like I'm like
Trying to
working
pinch
on
it
a
off.
task. Yeah. I'm talking about work. Man, we really got all of the we really got all of them in there. Anything that reminds me of that one guy. I used to work at a gas station when we first got married, and I would use the gas station credit card and like it would come out of your check. And I'd use that to to like buy things at the gas station, and you could only use it at the gas station, right? And we were super poor, and we were out of toilet paper, and Nicole came in and got toilet paper off of my like gas station credit card, and there was some guy there, and he looks at her, and he was inebriated for sure, and he just looks at Nicole and goes, "Oh, you gonna go pinch a meatloaf?"
All right.
and I was like, Ashley just looks at her and goes, "You attract those people."
Well, 'cause when I was in high school, I went to the bathroom during a like class, and there was a nice young lady that was in Ashley's grade above me, and she had some, learning disabilities. It's fine, but I'm walking out of the bathroom, and she goes, "Hey, did you pinch a loaf?" really loudly in the hall, where
Excellent.
people can hear it, and I'm like. I'm running. Like,
Were your pants and shoes?
Yeah. Did you leave those there?
no,
Yeah.
I was walking out of the bathroom, and she yelled it while I'm walking down the hall. And she's like, "Hey, pinch a loaf," and I was like, "Shut up!" Like,
Anyways, so yeah, that's one of the things that we've talked about is like, and I do it. I'm super guilty of it too. Like Nicole's homeschooling. I'm like, "Hey, I got to show you something." She's like, "Just chill," So that goes both ways. But the other thing that Nicole and I have talked about, because we're navigating like a work-life balance, we've had conversations of like, "Hey, like I have seasons where I can be more involved and more here and more present, and I have seasons that I'm just busier, like I'm traveling and I'm gone." And so it's really helpful for me if there's not guilt attached to that, because you get used to, "Hey, dad's home. Well, now dad's gone," and everyone's like, "Hey, I'm used to dad being home." And so like not having guilt attached to that has been really helpful for me. And yeah, so like those things of just learning to have clear and honest communications of needs and expectations, and not mind reading. And so those are the conversations that we've had, is like, I'm not a mind reader. If you want me to do something, like, you just can ask me. And Nicole's never been the like, "I shouldn't have to ask." She's always been like, "Well, all right, well, I'll ask. But if I ask, you're going to do it." And I'm like, "That's great. Let's do that." So I feel like we have a good ebb and flow. I'm not perfect at it. There's frustration. You showed up at my house this morning because of frustration. I listen.
Explain that a little more.
I hate.
That's a little foggy
Yes,
in your description.
Yeah, valid. I hate manual labor. I don't want to do it. And last,
you're good at it.
yeah, yeah, whatever. I hate it. And last summer I was supposed to like get all of this dirt out of these buckets, and summer came and went, and I did not remove that dirt. And Nicole, she was like so mad at me yesterday. I mean, like, I knew I'd messed up. I was like, she's like, "I'm trying to do this project, and you didn't do what you were supposed to do last summer." And she's sitting out here on our back, like, pergola porch thing. And I'm just peek my head out the window. I'm like, "Hey, you all right?" And she goes, "No, I'm sad." I'm like, "You're sad? It's a beautiful day." She's like, "Trying to work on this project, but I can't do it because you won't take the dirt away." So I'm like, "All right." So I texted David. I'm like, "Hey, can I borrow your truck? I got to move some dirt." And he graciously offered to help after that, which I wasn't intentionally trying to get you to help me, but I'm super grateful that you did. But
I have a truck. I know the deal.
yeah. I was literally just going to borrow the truck. So that's the thing, is like, I never want to assume that if I'm asking for a truck, like I'm demanding physical labor help from a friend, even though I know better. Like,
Sure,
you're always going to be there, but I never want to like make people help me do crappy jobs.
That's what friends are for.
Sure. I appreciate you. So I took out the dirt, but she asked me. I was like, "I don't want to do that," and she's like, "I know you don't, but I need you to." So I did it, and it's gone.
Mhm.
Thanks to
It's done.
David and his awesome truck.
Mhm.
Now, my wife didn't work on the rest of the project today, so we'll see if that gets done now
If
that
it
I did.
rains.
That's fair. But yeah, just our communication line always needs to be clear. I'm a terrible mind reader, and I don't like to do things that I know should get done. And so if I'm not, if my mind, I guess I could say it this way. I really like to do things I'm passionate about, and I can hyper focus on those things, and things that I hate doing. I just really struggle with like motivation to do them. And so having my wife have grace in those areas and lead in that and ask questions, because it's like I love you, of course I'm going to do those things if you ask me to. And so I feel like that's where we've been growing and continuing to grow, and that would help a ton.
What about Matt? Matt, did you answer?
I took a long time to answer. That's my bad.
I don't know. I
You're on the hot seat.
I don't really have much to say, I guess, honestly. I don't know. No, I mean, I
Say
feel
what you
like
need to say.
I guess I feel more like I'm usually the one that's offering support more, that like I'm not really in a situation where I feel like I need support, if that makes sense. So, I guess something that's hard as a dad would be like if I mess up with my kid, let's say I speak to them badly or I treat them poorly, like in the moment, and I'm like willing to be I'm willing to be wrong on this, like I feel like it makes it worse if I am corrected in front of the kids
Oh,
in that
100%.
moment.
Yeah,
So
that's accurate.
if I mess up and I do something poorly, like I think it would again, like it would be more supportive this doesn't happen in super forever, but like just take me aside,
Just wait until
know.
and this is a conversation Nicole and I have had too, where it's like, listen, oftentimes, like, I don't know about you guys, I hate yelling at my kids. It actually makes me insanely sad, right? But then there comes a point where I'm like, I've run out of options or patience or whatever, and I will snap sometimes.
Mhm.
And Nicole is a mama bear, and it leads to further frustration because I'll be like, look, I can fully recognize that I need to like do some repair here with my kids. It's not helpful though to have you snap back at me in front of them that way, because then, and there's like this dichotomy that we're trying to wrestle with of, well, I don't want them to think that they're allowed to be treated by their husbands that way. But then it's like, well, I don't want them to think that they can treat their husbands that way either. Like, and so there's this constant wrestle of like, what's the right thing to do when? And I think that I'm a firm believer in like, let's hash it out without the kids there. And then where I need to make repair and repent and apologize, like I can go back and do that then. And like fully acknowledging, yeah, I was wrong. But I think that for me, the thing that I think is important is that there leaves room then for comparison if you confront publicly in front of children, like, well, dad's like this, and mom's like this, and maybe that's a cop out on my end, and I just need to do the right thing more or whatever. And I'm fully acknowledging, like, yes, I screw up as a dad, and I get way too rambunctious. I get way too loud. I get way too big. I hate doing that. It's like not a go-to for me. It's something I hate when it gets to that point. And I've even told my kids like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but it actually breaks my heart when we get to that point. I love you very much, and I don't like doing it. I don't like getting there. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to teach my kids that, like, I love you. I like so much love you, but let's listen the first time. Let's not argue. Let's ask helpful questions. So
Yeah.
it's a process, and
Ashley's been teaching me over the years that, like, it can be healthy to argue in front of your kids, because, like, my natural reaction is to hide it all. Like, don't let the kids see us fight. I don't want you to yell at me in front of the kids. I don't want to yell at you in front of the kids. And
Can you explain your definition of fighting?
see, this is the thing, is that
That's where we're
for sure.
different.
So me, my son and daughter, we consider yelling talking sternly or like loudly. That's, to us, that's yelling. That's fighting. And to Ashley, she's like, you don't want to see me yell. And I'm like, no, we're fighting. You're yelling at me. I'm not yelling at you. You want to see me yell? And so
Did your parents fight in front of you? Or argue in front of you? Or
yes,
did
but
they,
it
or
was
did they
always
take
it was
to,
always
like-
one-sided for the most part. And so for me, like, I don't know, whatever, childhood, whatever, like, I am naturally like, if arguing starts happening, I want to hide. Like, I don't want,
Yeah.
it scares me. I don't like it. So if it's tense at all, to me, this is fighting. I don't like this feeling.
Sure.
I want to shield my kids from that. But the thing is that if I always shield my kids from those kinds of things, then they're not going to be able to operate in the real world at all. So I think that there are some things, like, if one parent is correcting if one parent is correcting the child, and then the other parent is correcting that parent and how they're correcting that child, that actually is more detrimental to the child than, like,
yeah, and I think that's, for me, the separation of, like, I do think it's important. One, I think it's important, if a kid sees parents fight, then they should also see them make up. So I think we've modeled that really good, but it's specifically like the targeting, like, if I'm trying to discipline my kid and then the parent comes in and like, whoa, that was too much. Then the kid thinks that, in my opinion, I could be wrong, I'm not a psychologist. Then it does, like, then they're like, oh, maybe I wasn't wrong. And it could reinforce a behavior. It could be undermining. And
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I've also done it, and, like, I've been like, oh crap, like, it's a super hard thing to do, to, like, think through.
Yeah, say something in the comments what you think, if that's good.
Yeah,
or,
let's talk about this,
know.
because I mean, maybe somebody studied this psychologically and we're all wrong, and maybe, you know what I mean? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Probably are to someone. Some
Can't be
at
right.
this point, you guys are all wrong because you don't have trad wives.
What's-
Like, you never know. Like,
Okay, can I just say, though, one of the things I love about my wife is that she will put me in my place, because I just would yes, sometimes but I will admit that, in the same way that I don't love yelling at my kids because of the behavior, it necessitates a sterner reaction. And sometimes when I'm being a bonehead, it necessitates a sterner reaction. And I don't have a wife who like just sits back and takes it. So I want to be clear. There is a mutual submission in my marriage. We love each other very much. She's my best friend, but marriage and relationship is hard work, and it creates tension. And when I'm being a bonehead, my wife tells me, and I actually appreciate that. So I'm not saying this as, like, don't confront me. Don't, like, no. Like, there's a healthiness in our marriage because of that. Nicole does not, like,
I can't imagine what kind of human being I would be if I wasn't trained on how to be a human being by my wife. All the best things about myself, when I see myself in the mirror, I can 100% say I can tie it back to her.
Yeah.
So
I think that's why God made wives.
They're like a rudder. I mean, when
Yeah.
we're talking about like, you look at the biblical hierarchy, right? Like the way it's set up. If the wife approaches her husband in that way, think of the military. What if like a lower ranking person yelled at a higher ranking person for disciplining somebody below them? They're going to be in a little bit of trouble because of the hierarchy ranking. And it's not a matter of like, because I'm your boss or anything like that. It's there has to be a hierarchy. At some point, there is like, we're on the same team, but that the reason for that, I think it's the way we're built. Men are authoritative, like by nature. Most men are authoritative. We're decisive. We're action prone. Like that's how we're wired. That's how we're built. Moms are great for all the loving side. The other part, that part that when we have to be stern with our kids and teach them some of the hard stuff, that like, hey, life's going to be hard. And like when they fall down and there's like, sometimes you got to rub a little dirt on it, man. Like you're going to be okay. You know, mom's always there for a hug. So they get both sides to that. They get to see that, and they get to see that in arguments. Like if you do a healthy argument, right? Like if you're just screaming at each other is not what I'm talking about. But like having a healthy argument, you're going to use healthy words. You're going to use healthy language, stuff that is protecting of the other person that you love. You're not out to hurt them. You're trying to solve a problem, not fight each other over the problem. And so in correcting one of them, I think like if my wife was disciplining my kid in a way that I was like, whoa, like I know definitively that's not going to work. No way would I approach her from the standpoint of like, you're doing this wrong and like be demeaning to her. Be like, hey, have we thought about this? Have we tried this? Like that's this kid. This kid's not going to fall for that. Like that works on the other kid, not on this kid, you know? And it's towards the problem, not towards you're dumb. That was a bad decision. You know what I mean? And I have to be careful about that because it's so easy, right? To go, you're doing this wrong. Well, the point is we're trying to make the kid do it the right way, not, you know, we can talk about this later, but then and having those conversations in front of the healthy way in front of our kids is important because they need to learn how to fight. They need to learn how to fight a healthy way. Otherwise they're going to learn how to fight in an unhealthy way. They do, because there's healthy ways to have disagreements.
Right.
There's healthy ways to argue. And if my parents were the type that they would go and they would like have those conversations in a room, I like don't remember my parents ever arguing. And weird, when I got to be married and I didn't know how to argue fairly, I argued like I would with a buddy or like I would in business or something where it's a lot. You're trying to make them
cutthroat.
Yeah, you're trying to make
analytical.
Yeah, right, exactly, and not trying to be understanding. That's actually listening for for their side.
Yeah, I would say that because this is an age old, you know, where men, they want to just fix the problem. Oh, you're upset about this. Well, I want to fix the problem. This is what you're upset about. I'm not upset about that. I'm upset about all of this. Well, but this is the thing that made you mad. I want to fix it. Sometimes
like
we can't
the
fix
nail
it.
video.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I don't think so. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Like sometimes we can't. Sometimes you just need to let it all out, and I have to realize that I can't just fix it. I have to, you know.
Almost never have I actually fixed anything when it comes to that. Like I've never given the sage advice, and my wife is like, "Wow, that made everything better. I'm gonna do that, and it's fixed." I can't think of one time that's happened.
You know,
but you're quick to change.
No, I mean like when you come with a problem, and I'm like, "Well, if you would do this, it would be better." It's
right. Where she's like, "Oh, thanks, you're right," and then that was the end of it.
Yeah.
No, that's not how that works.
Never.
That is
it's never happened
in the history of mankind.
I don't think
work that way.
I don't know.
No,
I don't. And maybe it's not supposed.
And we keep trying.
Yeah,
we keep trying it. One of these days, there's going to be a woman who goes, and maybe she's a little drunk. And she goes,
not my wife.
You know what? That's a good call. And she walks away, and the guy's gonna like call all of his friends and be like, "You will never believe."
Was somebody recording that? Put that on the internet?
No one will believe.
Listen,
this. Right?
I will say, I also am very sensitive. Like I'm acknowledging this, like in the terms of this conversation, like my wife's opinion means everything to me. So if I do something wrong and my wife has to confront me in general, I'm like, oh, so you hate me. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to navigate those feelings in a healthy way. Like, so I don't like.
Yeah, I could agree.
You know,
definitely. Like, if she's mad at me, I'm thinking this is it. She's going. You know?
Like, no, that's why I always tell Nicole, like, she's stuck with me. Like, just so you know, there's no way
You
out.
do
This is going to be
realize-
legally very challenging
Yeah.
for you. Right.
And if you think you're getting half of anything, what's 0 divided by 0? Like, you're not getting very far. So you're stuck, is what I'm saying. So yeah, I like the conversation of like confrontation and stuff like that, like with a grain of salt. Like, I acknowledge I am very sensitive. I have a very big personality. I'm kind of a drama queen. Like, I know those things about myself. And so, learning to navigate those things and I would say that Nicole does a good job of recognizing, like, hey, you're just being a drama queen. Like, hey, you're just being a little dramatic right now. Sometimes it's in a firmer. The word's not offensive.
Now I just say theatrical.
Sure. That's valid. You're theatrical. So those things are true. Those things happen.
You know what it sounds like? Like, you asked, back to your question of what you asked, like what wives could do to make it easier for dads and stuff. I think when I'm looking at an overall word, it's peace. All of these things, like understanding what you're thinking. I mean, like, to where we don't have to guess, because there's a lot of stress in that. I do not buy my wife clothes. I am wrong. No matter.
Have you tried buying your wife clothes?
I've tried to buy any woman in the past. Pick any woman. And I'm not saying this against women. I'm saying I've never guessed right. I've never, it's either been, I don't like that. It's either been, because. So,
and he's acknowledging that.
and I'm saying that I don't.
Just listen.
Right. I don't do it because unless you say, I want that shirt in
100%.
this size, I am going to do it wrong. Because every brand is a different size. Everything, they all fit differently.
I used to try to surprise my wife with like romantic things in general. Like, I used to stop doing that.
Well, so I've thought about that before too, because I've done that like with my wife too. And you know how they talk about like when you're married for a long time, you just don't do as much of that stuff. And I thought about that early on in dating. When you did that stuff, there was cause and effect. There was a result that occurred due to those things. When you do it enough times, there's not that same result anymore. That result starts going away. And so the guy goes, well, why am I doing that then? I'm not getting the same attention, the same
Well, Nicole
level of thank you.
flat out told me she doesn't like surprises. And I'm like, then why have I been trying to surprise you for 10 years?
Right.
But I love that. I do actually think that is, like, I've just recently started using the word don't be quarrelsome, with my kids, and like how the Bible says, like, don't be quarrelsome. And there's there's so many times that there's not peace in my house. My kids are fighting. Like, there's just, for some reason. So yeah, like, if like I can't ask for more peace from my wife if I'm not helping bring peace myself.
Yeah. 100%.
So, but yeah, like it's
got to be a
but that's
teamwork
great.
thing because
Yeah.
we're working together on it, right? And peace comes in the form of, like, again, not having to guess at questions, not.
I feel like it's coming down to like communication. Because that's what you're saying. Like, one of the things that brings you peace is not having to guess. Well, how do you not have to guess? Is if she just
we're
tells
talking, right? We're talking,
Yeah.
or there's a responsibility on my end too.
you. Yeah,
I have to
100%.
remember it. I have to
Oh,
remember
dude.
with those things. I know. My
bro.
wife doesn't know this until now. I have a file on my phone of things. I'm like,
me.
oh, this is the thing that,
Oh,
so
that's
that I
smart.
don't, because again, in
She
the
has to
passing of a
text
day,
me a
there's
list.
lots of things.
Yeah.
Yes, there's lots
Every
of
day.
things. So, right.
Look, you
I
guys,
have to see it with my eyes. Otherwise, I will just.
It's just
I
gone.
feel like
Yep,
my
absolutely.
wife says, and look, I'm not fishing for compliments here, but I feel like my wife tells me that I'm a good husband sometimes, and I'm like, are you sure about that? Like, I am such a dunce sometimes, you guys. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
They
I
give
don't know
us
how
a
she
lot of
put.
grace.
I don't know
And
how she puts up with
So
me.
the same way that we have
I'm
to
not
think
just
of
saying
those
that.
things, I think that wives do too, right? You have to, like, my wife can be a firecracker if she wants to be. But and again, that's why you guys all get along. Like, you guys all have that spicy side to you, where you're like just riled up. Like, she had like she realized not that way. She realized
No, that's not. I didn't take that dirty. I just thought of a time that I saw Nicole's spicy side come out, and it just made me laugh.
because there is that like little
That-
Chihuahua side in them
yeah.
where they're like real feisty.
I was gonna say
and
like that
scary.
Mexican.
Yeah,
like,
there's that fire in there, right? Sometimes, and I see my wife just and take that breath and not take it out on me, like in those times. And that's how that's one of the ways I think she intentionally thinks about how to bring me peace when we're gonna have a conversation. Bringing that down so that I don't automatically. Again, we're guys. We have very instinctual responses. If you come at us aggressive, we have that fight or flight response, right? Where we're like, dude, just whatever, it's not worth it. And we just kind of shut down. Or we have that, I'm going to argue back louder and I'm going to be bigger. And it can elevate to something where it was like, we were talking about what color we wanted to like, paint that picture over there. Like, why are we yelling at each other? And like, and it just, I think that for her, I know she does that for me too, knowing full well as a guy, like that's how we were. And it's not, I'm saying like design wise, it was important when we were fighting lions and bears and crap in the jungle, right? Like there's an instinctual, and I don't just mean that, I mean war too. Like we're more prone to go do that stuff. Women are like, nah, that's cool.
which is crazy.
No thanks.
I think that like
She'll offer herself as tribute.
I will volunteer.
She'll volunteer as tribute.
But I mean, and you're you're a rarity. You're a rarity, and that makes sense. I think even biblically, there weren't a lot of women that went to war because we're disposable. Yeah, we're disposable.
yeah.
Honestly, we're a dime a dozen. Women are important. Men, there's a lot of us. See? Exactly. So send us away to war, and then there's less of us to exhaust you. Right? Exactly. See ya. Have a good time. Right? Like, and so there's a good reason to not poke the bear and make it get into an aggressive situation because we're more naturally inclined to do that in an argument.
Yeah.
And so
I get big
that's
fast.
so great.
I have to go to my room and ground myself because I get so frustrated and heated.
And it makes such a difference, I'm sure, because when you connect, right, it's not like you're fighting. It's like we're talking now. We're talking.
2 hours in her room to take a nap.
Have you seen
My
that
wife
meme where it's
gets
like,
to take a lot of baths. I'm like, go take a bath. I'll make you a bath. You can just go sit there and relax.
I don't want to.
Right. Well, and then as a man, sometimes you have to, as it's called commonly, you got to give him a little attitude adjustment. And that's a very husbandly thing to do. That sometimes
I put Nicole in her
sometimes you just
place
gotta be
when
like,
she
yo,
is.
let's go. You gotta
If
switch
I-
that attitude up.
If I feel like I haven't done anything wrong, because sometimes I know I'm like, oh, that was wrong. I deserve this.
Right.
Sometimes I'm like, whoa, that came out of left field. I'll just be like, hey, why are you being mean to me?
You're being mean to me. You're being mean to me.
Oh, that's not the kind of
other
kind of
day-
attitude adjustment I was talking about.
The other day,
I was talking about taking you back, like that's as guys, and especially as Christian guys, we should be able to talk about that, right? Like, honey, are you hungry? No? Okay. You need a marital attitude adjustment. It's time to go back and then there's a significant success percentage there. I have to say, and that's important for guys to know.
for your marriage. I don't know if that's like advice I would just take for everyone. You got to feel that out.
Well, okay, now I'm not saying.
Let's try it later.
Hey, sit in your.
I'm not saying grab her by the hair and drag her down the hallway. I'm like, but go, okay, I get what's going on. We had a bad day. Let's put you in a better mood. And
That would not work for me. That would not work. Not like that.
I did not have the guts to do that until one day I was like, what is your deal? She's like, I'm just so frustrated. I was like, me too.
I know it's gonna be a good one when everything is going great night, everything's been going fine, then out of nowhere she goes, you are annoying the crap out of me too. And I'm like,
I'm breathing.
and then it's the whole last week of everything all at once, and then I want to fix the problem. Everything was fine. What happened? I want to fix it now. But I love all that.
Do you?
No,
You don't have-
that was.
do
I'm
you?
saying that was, but that's really good.
Oh, yeah.
Would it be cool if we shouted out our dads for Father's Day? Is that
Heck
something we
yeah.
could do? So, my dad, I just want to shout him out. Raymond de Padre. He, growing up, the two biggest things that my dad did that taught me, that made me the man that I am today, is he loves the Lord profusely. He's so devoted, and I saw that growing up, and that is something that made me, that instilled that in me. And to get that from my father, like, that's huge. And the second thing is, him and my mom have been together for over 40 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
So to see that that's like, and not that everything's perfect, but like those two things right there, like, that's something that's like, my father taught that to me. And like, I'm just so blessed to have him in my life, and I'm really just grateful for my dad. Happy Father's Day, Raymond.
Yeah, my dad's Wayne Reeves is he taught me, like, and here's the thing with my dad, like, he never like sat me down and was like, here's some lessons you need to be a man. Like, it wasn't like that, but the things that I like captured from my dad, I would say I learned how to be indispensable in a workplace. Like, I learned a work ethic from him that when I'm on the clock, like, you do the right things, you show up, you learn how to do everything in a job. Like, my dad, I don't know, I feel like my dad can literally walk into a place and do anything. It's crazy.
That's cool.
Like, he is he works for the railroad right now, BNSF. I don't think there's a job he can't do in that company. Like, he can do all of it. And so I learned that from my dad. And I feel like that like ethic has propped my business up in such a way that without it, I don't think that I'd be where I'm at. And obviously God's blessed that too. So I'm not taking any credit away from the Lord, but I learned that like from my dad. And I don't know, my dad, I feel like if I ever need anything, I can count on my dad to be there for me. Like, he loves all of his kids so much, even if they don't deserve it. And I'm telling you, on air, sometimes my siblings don't deserve the help that they get from my dad. Like, it's just true. I love you guys, but it's true. Like, my dad is such a giving person. He's so generous. He is literally willing to help out if at all anybody needs it, especially his kids. He is there. I know that if I'm ever in a pinch or a bind, I can count on my dad. So he's just so kind and generous that way. So love you, Dad. Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to my dad. Like I mentioned earlier, he is a ER surgeon, so I got to grow up thinking my dad was a real life superhero.
He kind of was.
He was. He saved lives. That's what he does.
Legit.
Take your kid to work day was a real interesting day. 7th grade, I got to watch him do some really weird stuff. He pulled open a guy's chest because they couldn't get the spreaders there in time. This was back 7th grade. No, this was like the early 90s. Okay. So
Right.
like you could still bring your kid into the ER then, I guess. He pulled and massaged a guy's heart for 8 minutes and he came back to life. He was dead for, he was dead for,
saw that?
he was dead for 8 minutes. I got to write a book report on in 7th grade for like, write a book report on take your kid to work day. And a guy came in with a bullet wound to his chest and the nurse froze. And like, he was like, give me the spreader and the nurse froze. And so he pulled the rib cage apart and then manipulated the heart for 8 minutes until the guy came back to life.
Whoa.
Yeah. And that was just one of the people. And so I think about that. Like I remember, I forever remember that. And I've had a superhero complex ever since then, where I just want to help people. Like
That's
I just
awesome,
really enjoy helping people
Yeah.
and trying to like, it's just, I don't know. Like I just really like helping people. And I'm assuming it's from seeing him do that and having this idea that my dad is a real life superhero. Like
Yeah.
he actually saves
That's
lives.
awesome.
Yeah.
What a way to end this episode. That was a good call, Matt.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good call.
All right. Well,
All right. Now we're gonna have our dads fight each other.
Right.
listen, look, man, I've seen my dad kick the crap out of guys twice his size. So, and that, no
My
offense,
dad
guys.
will pull out a knife.
My dad,
Yeah.
my dad
He
would
would
rip
just-
your dads apart.
Yep. And he'd be like, no thanks. No thanks.
All right.
I'll stitch everybody back up. That's what I'd do. My dad
Well,
would do.
Thanks to Nicole and Ashley for letting us take over their podcast. And
Mhm.
hope you guys
Thanks,
enjoyed
ladies.
it, and be kind to us in the comments. We're probably so ignorant. We probably said things that
Please educate us.
yeah,
Please do.
but be kind about it because I'm sensitive. All right,
Wait, I'm sorry. One more. I'm really sorry.
Oh.
I'm really sorry.
that's okay.
For the girls, I want to shout out Donald Miller,
Yeah,
our
Donnie.
father-in-law, and Rick Matthias, who is the one, the only, and so we love you guys. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, boys.
Hey, Dad and Rick.
Father's Day.
All right,
Bye.
goodbye.
Thanks for listening to Real as Possible. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share the laughs with someone who needs it. See you next time.